What's up, friends? It's Madam Adam. Welcome back to the channel. It is time for another honest tarot deck review. I'm really excited about this one. I mean, I'm always excited about deck reviews, but I'm really stoked for this one because it's another Todd Alcott deck. If you've seen the other one previously, we did Pulp Tarot by Todd Alcott, which is kind of vintage style magazine cover, movie poster looking artwork. So Todd has expanded a little bit, and today we are looking at Todd Alcott's new horror tarot, which if you know me at all, you know this is ding, 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 right up my alley. Even the front image here kind of looks like the poster from the new tarot horror movie, which I'm really excited about that as well. There's a lot of people that are like, oh, that's going to give tarot a bad name, and tarot already has a hard time. We're not trying to save lives here. We're not trying to change the world, girl. It's just a silly, fun movie to get people talking about shit. So I'm excited. I don't care. But anyway, Horror Tarot by Todd Alcott. The box itself is really cool. It looks like a book, as they tend to do. Even the Pulp Tarot had this bookish kind of look to it. I love the natural kind of wear and tear that they present in the art of the book, or of the box. All right, let's read the back of this, shall we? Todd Alcott's Horror Tarot, the creator of the Pulp Tarot, returns with this kaleidoscopic plunge into the world of horror graphics, guaranteed to send chills down your spine. Todd Alcott's Horror Tarot is a full tarot deck of 78 cards with bespoke instruction booklet to guide you through the thrilling and terrifying world of the major arcana and all four gasp-inducing suits of the minors. Divine your future with bone-chilling images inspired by over 100 years of horror graphics, evoking movie posters, fan magazines, paperback books, classic comics, and pulp magazines. Your fate is in your hands. Yes, indeed. I believe I got this on Todd's Etsy online. I got it direct. I followed the link directly from Todd's Instagram and bought this personally. I believe it was like 20 something bucks, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, anyway, we love, again, you know, we love when the box is its own carrying case. I keep the deck in here. We love the blood stain, the red ribbon to pull your shit out. We love that. Very nice, solid, good book. It's not magnetic at all, but like good carrying case for your deck. We love to see that. The book, not super big. They don't need to be. Instruction booklets don't need to be huge. If you saw the last episode of the last deck review I did for the Empyrean Tarot, the larger decks book was like 300 pages. So it varies, you know, person to person, creator to creator. This one is only a 55 page, you know, little guidebook. It's a little paper guide that fits in there perfectly. I want to start with the acknowledgements in the back here, just because, and then we're going to go through some of this, the how and why, and some of the fun stuff that I really enjoy about the deck. Acknowledgements. First, I need to thank my family, especially my wife, Sarah, who have led me to spend a fair portion of my life doing things like this instead of getting a real job. Next, I need to thank my artist gang, R. Sikriak, I'm not going to say these right, Kay Wilberg, M. Lucher, Bree Williams, Julie Lynn for serving as cheerleaders for this project and responding when asked for opinions. Finally, I need to thank the team at the Unemployed Philosophers Guild, especially Trudy and Amanda, for helping me put this project together in record time and all who deserve raises. Absolutely. Very cool. We love a good acknowledgement of the people that worked on this. Copyright, you know, 2023, the Unemployed Philosophers Guild, philosophersguild.com, Brooklyn, New York. So yeah, let's talk about the deck and how and why. So in the intro of the book, or the booklet here, it says, the world is a scary place. There are mortal dangers everywhere. There are madmen who rule nations, madmen who rule corporations, and madmen who rule everyday families. There are diseases that will kill you and cures that will bankrupt you. There are criminals on both sides of the law who plot to take your money and your life. There are accidents and disasters, venomous insects and predatory animals, both four-legged and two-legged, creatures who mean you harm. We respond to real-life terrors by creating fictional ones. The monsters of real life are transformed into monsters of the page and screen. A nation's fear of invasion by foreigners creates Dracula. A society's fear of science going too far creates Frankenstein. A generation's fear of losing their souls creates armies of the walking dead. The word monster has the same root as demonstrate. They both come from the Latin monere, which means to warn. Monster movies are warnings to society. Don't play with radiation or you'll get Godzilla. Don't engage in premarital sex or you'll get Michael Myers. Don't venture into the woods or you'll get the Blair Witch. Pause really quick. I love that. The word monster has the same root as demonstrate, monere, monstrate. It's in there. And as we always say, manifestation is demonstration. So the word monster, meaning to warn, to demonstrate or to manifest, should mean that you're warning the universe, you're warning everybody. Let's add that to our, you're going to hear me say this now in lives, like let's add that idea to what it means to manifest, to demonstrate. The word monster, the monere, to warn. You're warning everybody. You're coming for it. You're warning everybody that you're going to get that thing and that's mine. I'm manifesting this shit. Look the fuck out. I love that. Anyway, horror stories, like fairy tales, exist for us to experience our mortal fears in a fantastical setting, to experience our inevitable death in a safe environment where we know it's all just for show. And perhaps we learn that life itself is all just for show. This brief cavalcade of sensation we experience as our souls navigate the journey from pre-existence to non-existence. To convey the complex messages of the tarot, I've explored 5 distinct graphic worlds, 4 for the major arcana, and 1 for the minor. For the major arcana, I thought it would be fun to pay homage to the horror movies I've enjoyed since my youth. I dreamed up an imaginary movie studio, Horror Tarot Studio. Populated it with imaginary filmmakers and created 22 posters for movies they might have made if they had existed. Right up my alley. I love that. The Suit of Wands images are original paintings inspired by the work of the artist Basil Gogos, who created dozens of portraits of classic monsters in the 1960s and 70s for the horror movie buff magazine Famous Monsters of Filmland. Gogos' paintings, with their psychedelic colors and dramatic sidelights, brought the black and white monsters of the 30s movies to vivid life. They have become definitive images in the minds of many horror fans, and I wanted to capture that energy for this suit. The Suit of Cups, I wanted to honor the many days I spent in the 80s reading the horror paperbacks of the time. To give the suit a dramatic through line, I created a fictional writers group, also called Horror Tarot, and gave them a 14-volume masterwork that such a group could have produced over a decade of publishing. For the Suit of Swords, I wanted to create a tribute to the EC horror comics of the 1950s. EC published a number of sensational, weird, gory titles like The Vault of Horror, Tales from the Crypt, Weird Science, and many more. The covers of their comics were so over the top in their depictions of violence, sadism, lechery, and abject cruelty that they prompted their very own congressional investigation, which eventually led to their demise and the introduction of the Comics Code Authority. For this deck, I created a publisher called, you guessed it, Horror Tarot Comics, and I dreamed up the stories you see illustrated here. In the Suit of Pentacles, I was inspired by covers from various horror pulp magazines in the 30s and 40s, horror tales, terror tales, and ghost stories, uncanny tales, and many others. Like the EC comics that followed in their footsteps, the covers for these magazines usually featured lurid paintings of exceptional cruelty and torture as mad scientists, foreign invaders, and red-robed cultists practice their evil deeds. The fictional publisher of these magazines, Horror Tarot Publications, is unrelated to the comics publisher, the movie studio, or the Famous Writers Group. Very cool. I love the fictional writing group, the fictional movie studio to kind of convey this. And I really love the sentiment that he said back here in the intro, that horror stories like fairy tales exist for us to experience our mortal fears in fantastical setting. It's such an American thing, isn't it? Like horror, like I've seen this talked about before. Like, it's such an American thing to pay money to be scared. Like in other countries or in places that go through, you know, war and you know, places that just aren't here, things that we hear about, the things we see on the news aren't happening here. And how American is it that we would pay money to experience terror, to experience a taste of fear, and to take the real world things that we're experiencing and like try to use media as a way to understand it. You know, how many movies are about the experience of the middle class, or, you know, the fear of disease, or people of color, you know what I'm saying? The struggles of apartheid and things like that. Like, who's to say, like, there's so many things, so many stories being told in the horror genre that are not just meant to be like fun slashers. Like, there's metaphor here, there's message here, and horror movies have rules, you know, like they said earlier. Like, if you you have premarital sex, you get Michael Myers. If you go into the woods, you get the Blair Witch. If you fuck with radiation, you get Godzilla. If yeah, so it's the warning, you know, the monster, that bit, the monster bit, the warning, demonstrate, you know, all of that we're showing you. So I love this though. I love the concept. I love the why. And when you look at the deck yourself in the next section, you'll see like there are cards that one of the cards is Jack Nicholson from The Shining. One of them is Linda Blair from The Exorcist. So like there are specific ones that are real existing characters, but there's also a lot of cards that are invented and really well thought out and really fun. So I love the deck, but we're going to read the Major Arcana bit. A brief history of the fictional Horror Tarot Studios. So this is what the Major Arcana is meant to be based on. Horror Tarot Studios has been in existence almost as long as film itself. The studio was founded in 1917 by filmmaker and spiritualist Charles Brema, who started out making short films on the subject of the tarot and other occult phenomena, including real seances that he attended with his sister, a medium who went by the puckish name Madame Clairvoyant. Madame Claire Voyant. So, like a drag name. Brimmer's two-reeler, The Devil Meets Temperance, 1920, now lost, starred a young Pauline Pruitt, who earlier that year had a surprise hit with John R. Warwick's Wagon Train Jezebel. Brimmer took the profits from The Devil Meets Temperance and bought a sandy lot of real estate in Chatsworth, California, 90 minutes from downtown LA, at the foot of the Santa Monica Mountains. He was soon producing, directing, and occasionally acting in his Horror Tarot Studios features. When he passed away in 1937, he left his studio in the hands of his second-in-command, Charles Barwood, a journeyman showbiz veteran who shepherded production at the studio for 3 decades. The industry shakeup of the 60s, which upended the long-established studio system in favor of driven cinema, left executives like Barwood in the dust. Horror Tarot Studios closed its doors in 1969, but its holdings, including real estate and its film catalog, were bought in 1972 by horror schlockmeister Arnold Sokoff, who used the studio primarily as a money laundering operation adjacent to his open secret cocaine business. Nevertheless, the Sokoff era produced its share of low-budget hits, mostly catering to the drive-in audience. In the 90s, Sokoff was bought out by Darius Hassan, a Persian dry cleaning magnate who teamed with a shadowy group of hedge fund millionaires to reshape the studio's image. Their template was simply throw money at A-list actors with passion projects that they would do for free, and which the studio could pre-sell to international TV networks to cover the cost of the production, of course. Hassan's time at the helm ended with the financial crisis of 2008, after which Horror Tarot Studios was dormant again until its catalog of films was purchased by Silicon Valley heiress Alison Blackwood, who successfully rebranded the studio in the 2010s as a highbrow prestige horror label. So that's the backstory for the Major Arcana, and of course they go on to give you a little story about the miners and the things that they're based on. Yeah, short history about the Horror Tarot Writers Group, and a brief history of tarot comics, these fictional things, the fictional worlds that they created to have backbone to the cards that they draw. I will say, though, I don't think they're necessary. I think that's wonderful. I think it's great. You know, I love to look at the book, especially as these reviews have gone on. Feedback from you guys and the creators of decks. They were like, look at the guidebook. It'll tell you why I did that. So I like to go through the book and tell you guys why and how, and explain to you the vision of the artist and why they did it. But this deck, like, as a horror fan, I live. It looks like the art on the deck. It looks like movie covers, movie posters, book covers, magazine covers. It's vintage, it's fun, it's cool. So yeah, this is the deck. Here's the back of it. Horror Tarot. I was surprised that it had this green look to it. And of course it reads the same upside down as it does upright. You know, I love that for the sake of reversals, but also it's the same kind of green that's found here on the bookish, the pages, if you will, of the box. So there is this green, nothing fancy, nothing shiny, just standard, solid, really good cardstock, normal, nothing too crazy. I will say these do bend a lot. So be mindful of that when you shuffle, however you shuffle. Solid bridge, solid shuffle, really good. Good card quality, standard size, beginner friendly. Well, yes and no. Yes, because some of the cards, many of the cards, I will say, do have like descriptions on them, which is really beginner friendly. So as an example, I just shuffled, and this is the Hermit card. It's on the and this is one of the movie posters from the horror studio that they fictionally made up there. So, but that's what it looks like. It's like a Hermit movie poster, and up top it says a little tagline, the 9th card in the major arcana. Okay, that doesn't really give you much, but that tells you that it's number 9 because there's no numeric on here to tell you what number that the major arcana is. So that's one thing for beginners. Like, the major arcana don't have numerology on them. And some of the cards, just looking at them, I had to search for, okay, what number is this supposed to be? See, this is the Sun. There's no numeric. It's kind of giving Dune. There's no numeric. This is what this number is in the major arcana. So for beginners, that might be like, oh, wait a minute, what order are these supposed to be in? You could always refer to your book, of course, but down here on the Hermit, though, it says the Hermit stands alone. On the fine print where you might find like the credits for the movie, the actors and distributed by, produced by, they have kind of a description. The Hermit stands alone on the top of a mountain, which symbolizes his spiritual mastery, growth, and accomplishment. He has chosen his path of self-discovery, and as a result, has reached a heightened state of awareness of himself and the world he lives in. A perfect description, but it's like movie poster style, right? So the Sun, same thing. There's no numeric, there's no number, but at the bottom it says Horror Tarot presents Major Arcana card number 19. It's written there, but it's not super obvious. A symbol of fun, vitality, positivity, success. Life is difficult, but not everything is sadness. The Sun is powerful, force that compels us forward through time. So yeah, there's descriptions on the cards. The Suit of Wands. So this is Frankenstein. The Suit of Wands were those kind of classic monster images. So you can see, like, it tells you the suit very largely, and then you have to kind of find the number. Card number 7. It's written, but not numerically. You know what I'm saying? And then it says trapped, but who is the monster? There's not really a description there. Trapped, but who is the monster? Like, that makes you question, like, if you know Frankenstein, like, he's not the monster, he's the victim, he's misunderstood, blah, blah, blah. So it leads you to, every card does have, like, you know, most of them have some kind of wordage or verbiage that gives you something to think about. Trap, but who is the monster? I always associate the 7 of Wands with, like, having to stand up for yourself, which is what he's kind of having to do on the image, right? The 2 of Cups, look at this one. The 2 of Cups, Horror Tarot. It's just the cover of a book. There's no words. There's nothing that tells you, you know, it's just got Alcott, Cups, 2, copyright. That's it. There's no words. So for beginners, this one might be a struggle. This one might be a challenge. Shuffles really well. It is really user-friendly. I'm going to be using this year-round, probably. This is going to be a deck that you'll see me use a lot during lives because I'm me and I love horror. But yeah, a lot of the cards don't have description. Most of them do, but a lot of them do not. So you can't count on that. Like, oh, well, the decks have words on them and they'll tell you what they mean. You still need the book. You still need to refer to it. But yeah, I do think this is a really great deck. I think it's great for beginners that, you know, if you know a little bit, if you're willing to if you're willing to do the work, if you're willing to go back to the book, if you're willing to pull the cards with the book in your hand and you're new, I think this is great. I think it's beneficial to experienced readers because it does have the words right on there. Some of the images, when I was fucking with it by myself, I did have to pause and go like, oh, which card is this? And it made me look at it though. Like as an experienced reader, it made me pause and look at the card and consider it differently. So I think it's a great deck. I'm obsessed with it. I love Todd Alcott's work. Pulp Tarot I've done before. Horror Tarot is my new favorite. So I love that. Stay tuned for the rest of the deck. Let me know what your favorite cards are. Do you resonate with them? What jumps out at you? Let me know when you see the Linda Blair card because I love that one. Are there any horror images you wish were represented differently? Do you like horror decks? Is this something that you would only use seasonally? Maybe, since it's horror, but I really hope you guys like this one because I know I definitely do. So thanks for watching. Thank you for liking and subscribing and following the channel. Stay tuned for the full view of the deck right now.